Hi everyone! Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of talking about some of our current favorite books, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite books and book series from when we were young. So this isn't something I've really seen on YouTube before, but I thought it would be an interesting layer. I know when I was young, I was desperate to find more books in my age range or reading range that I loved, that were great stories. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We have separated these books into 3 different categories: elementary school age, middle school age, and high school age, to kind of put the books into an age range for y'all in case you're looking for a specific book to read.
So like Kate mentioned, we've got a lot of books to get through, so we're going to kind of go through these pretty quickly and not really talk about them too much. The first one is a series called the A to Z Mysteries. So this series is a series of mysteries where 3 kids follow the clues and try and figure out what the answer to the mystery is. It was a fun series that we just really enjoyed, and I'm not entirely sure why. It's been a while since I read one.
They're pretty simple books written by Ron Roy, and we've categorized them in the elementary school age.
The next series that we decided to put on here was Percy Jackson and the Olympians. We've talked a little bit about these already on our channel because we enjoy them and we're still reading them. Just because they're fun. I mean, I know for me personally, I love the Greek and Roman mythology and all the mythologies from all over the world. So that's a cool aspect for me to explore. But the series are just adventures with heart, and they're fun, and it's just a really lovable series for so many reasons.
This is written by Rick Riordan, and we've placed it in the middle to high school age category.
The next is a series where we've read, I don't even know how many there are in the series anymore. We used to read as many as we could.
As they were being published.
Yeah, we were reading them as they were being published. And this is the Magic Treehouse series. I don't know where. I guess this is books 5 through 8.
I don't have book 1.
I thought I had book 1 through 4, but I don't know where they're at. This series is about 2 siblings, a brother and sister, who find a magic treehouse in the woods, and it transports them to different places in the books. And there's books in the treehouse, and they learn lessons and stuff as they're doing them. So each one is set at a certain time of day and in history, and they're just a fun series that we really loved, and I think probably still would love if we were to read them again.
So these are written by Mary Pope Osborne, and we've placed them in the elementary to middle school age.
The next book and series is the 39 Clues. We read these when we were a little bit older, but they're just kind of a mystery adventure type series, and they were fun. They were, I don't know, I never read, so there's the main series and then there's a couple of, like, offshoot series, and I never finished all the different offshoot series, but the main series was super cool to read, and just the world that was built. I mean, it takes place on Earth, but there's a whole society that's built around us on Earth that doesn't really exist. So we get to learn that, and that was really fun.
One of the coolest things about these books is they are written by various authors. So the first one's written by Rick Riordan? But they have Gordon Corman, I can't think of any other authors at the moment, Jude Watson.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of different authors that write them, and so it's almost like a serial story that's written by several different people. And it's confusing in some ways because each author interprets the main characters just a little bit differently, their personalities a little bit differently, and so we see all these different types of the same person. So
because of that, there is a little bit of disconnecting, but they also did a really good job at keeping a fluid storyline that made sense and was all the plot lines were held up and tied up at the end.
And the age range we've placed for this is middle school to high school age. So the next book series we have here is the Mandy series. I don't even know if there's like a series name. I've just always called them the Mandy books. And Mandy is a girl and she solves mysteries, so each book is a little mystery. And I love this. It's set in the early 1900s, the turn of the century, and it's really just a really fun young girl's read. So I love these. These are written by Lois Leopard, and we've set them in the elementary to middle school age range.
The Boxcar Children. This is another series that we read as many as we could, and we really loved them.
This was the embodiment of my childhood.
Pretty much. They're a mystery type series where the four siblings.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. It's been a long time, but
I remember.
So the four siblings.
Henry, Ben, Jesse, and Violet.
The four siblings try and solve the various mysteries. I don't even know what the setting was for them that much. I just remember reading them all the time.
Yeah.
And my favorite one was called Mystery of the Purple Pool.
That was a good one. So something that's interesting, these are written by Gertrude Chandler Warner, and one thing that's interesting is she only wrote the first 19 books in the series, and there's several hundred books, and then they also have off-series as well. So these are written mostly by the company that produces them. It's called the Albert and Whiteman Company, and so they're produced by them. They are still producing Boxcar Children books. I do find that the earlier books, the first 19 are my favorite, and then past that there's some really good ones throughout there, but the earlier books are definitely the best. We've set these at the elementary school age range because these are a simpler, easy read. I read them into high school. I read them a really long time, but they're definitely most enjoyable for an elementary school age.
I think part of the reason why we still love them so much is just for the nostalgia aspect of them.
Yeah.
So the next series, and we don't actually own any of the books in this series, is the Kane Chronicles, another Rick Riordan series, and this one focuses on two siblings and Egyptian mythology. So again, it's very similar to the Percy Jackson series in that it's just lighthearted and fun and whimsical and just all these endearing qualities to it. I actually think I enjoy it more than the Percy Jackson series.
In a lot of ways, yeah. There's only 3 books, isn't there?
I think so.
So it's a lot more concise, but it's still really great.
It's a very different feel from them, but they're really good.
We've placed them at the middle school to high school age category. Little House on the Prairie was the other book I loved to death. This particular copy has been loved very, very hardly. The back is entirely taped. It's kind of falling apart. Very frayed. Oh, and it's not connected. Oh, there we go. That's how we go. Yeah, so we've loved this book a lot. I read the Little House series over and over and over again, and they made me cry, and I don't know why. I was 12 when I read them, and they made me cry. But they were great books and very endearing, and I love these so much. These are written by Laura Ingalls Wilder, the main character in this book. So they're historically based, which is really, really fun. And the age range we have for this is elementary to middle school. Do you remember Nate the Great at all?
A little bit. So this next series is, I think I only read 1 or 2 of the books in the series, and that's Nate the Great. Again, it's another detective series where the boy, he's 6 years old, something like that. I don't know, 8 years old maybe. And he thinks and wants to be a detective, so he's trying to solve the little mysteries, who or where did his painting go that he did, or something like that, where the spoilers, his little brother had painted over it with something different. So it's just little things like that where it's not.
It wasn't Nate's painting; it was his friend's painting, his friend's little sibling painted over it.
Anyways, I remember parts of it, but it's just a simple series, a fun little series, definitely for younger kids.
Yeah, so as maybe you can tell by now, we really love mysteries growing up, and so these are super simple. I mean, almost picture books. So these we've set at the elementary school age range. Oh.
Encyclopedia Brown.
These were good ones.
I didn't actually read that many of them. These are written by Donald J. Sobel.
I was a little obsessed with mysteries, so I read every single mystery I could get my hands on. Encyclopedia Brown was probably the most logical one I read. It was I could never solve the mysteries. It frustrated me, but it was very cool because they were extremely logical, and I loved reading them for that alone. And the age range we have for Encyclopedia Brown is elementary to middle school.
And now comes my favorite series. Well, one of my favorite series. That is the Redwall series. If you watched our review of Martin the Warrior, you'll know that I basically gushed over the entire book, and Kate had some issues with it. We'll put it that way. Basically, I just love this series. It's so fun. It's so endearing. The world is so full of life, and it's just always good to be in the Redwall world. And Redwall itself is probably my least favorite in the series, but that doesn't mean it's bad by any means, and this is definitely one of my favorite fantasy series of all time.
This is written by Brian Jakes, and the age range we have set for it is middle school.
Although it can definitely be older. So the next series is the Jedi Apprentice series by Jude Watson. The first one is not written by Jude Watson, and I don't own it, but the entire rest of the series is all written by Jude Watson. This series is a Star Wars series, so it's, for me, as a major Star Wars nerd, I love this so much.
Did you see our May the 4th video? Did you see the background?
Yeah, we
we went a little out.
A little bit too much, maybe. But no, I these books were simple. They followed the story of Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan when he was his apprentice, and they told good stories, like some of the best Star Wars stories I know, and I still love to go back and reread them just because they're so fun.
Are they canon?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. We've set these at elementary to middle school age.
So another series that we read a lot of is the Childhood of Famous Americans. I don't think I've read, in fact I know I haven't read every single book in this series, but basically it's a, what is that, a biography, or is it an autobiography?
No, auto is when they read it.
Okay, so it's a biography of different characters throughout history. So this one's George Washington. You have ones like Ulysses S. Grant or
Abigail Adams.
Yeah, just pretty much any any person from American history. Well, not any, but a lot of the people from American history have one of these books, and it's just a book telling the story of who this character was and what led them to become such a well-known person in American history. They're very simple, very easy to read. They're not like a history textbook. They're far more of a story than a textbook.
These are written by various authors, and we have them placed in the elementary and middle school age category.
Another fantasy series that I really loved is the Guardians of Ga'Hoole series, and its follow-up series is what it's like Wolves of the Beyond, I think. But they were really good. They follow owls, actually. So it's that same animal trope that Kate doesn't care for.
Yeah, I never got into these. I don't think I ever finished one.
But the stories in these were so cool. Owls are probably my favorite bird of any. Yeah, probably. They're definitely up there. And so following these owls and their different adventures that they go on and their wars that they fight and all this stuff was super fun to read and follow, especially when you learned the lore and the history, or started to learn the history of the others, which were humans, but they're no longer around. Nobody knows what happens, or no owl knows what happens.
Sorry.
But anyways, it's just a fun series that follows owls, and if that doesn't intrigue you, then I'm sorry, because these are amazing.
These are written by Catherine Lasky, and we've set them in the middle school age category. The last series we're talking about
is one of the best fantasy series out. Well, I don't know. It's a good fantasy series, and it's a classic fantasy series. That is the Chronicles of Narnia.
These stand on their own 2 feet. We don't need to say much about them, except if you haven't read them, we would highly recommend it. They're fantastic books.
Yeah. There's some of them that are. There's definitely an order to my favorites within the series, but they're all good and they're all worth a read, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The author is C.S. Lewis, of course, and we've set these to span elementary through high school age range.
And you could probably realistically go even higher than that
Yeah.
because there's deeper themes that younger kids won't get for sure.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have read any of these books, please let us know, and if you loved them as a child, comment down below and tell us that you loved them.
If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to check us out on Instagram. Our link is in the description down below. Have a good day, guys. Stay warm.